We all know William Shakespeare, the most famous author of all time, writer of 37 plays, and why we are here today. But what if I told you Shakespeare never wrote a single word?
Some may also say that after destroying Earth and cities, you try to destroy the myth around William Shakespeare.
Yeah, I do. That was the main idea behind the film. 10 years ago, I found a script who just did that, and I'm a person, you know, always like kind of attracted by big ideas, and I kind of said to myself, if this is like true, I will do it. So I read everything what I could, and I made up my mind that yes, it's true, I will make this movie. They agreed. Vanessa, at the very beginning, had no idea. But then she is a very, very smart woman, and she asked me that I give her like a list of books she can read. And now she is totally convinced. And Derek Jacobi is also, he, together with Mark Rylance, who also is in our film, they 8 years ago put like a manifesto out of reasonable doubt, saying, you know, that they doubt the man from Stratford didn't wrote it.
Basically, you wanted to be a production designer, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And by watching Star Wars, you suddenly decided you wanted to be a director. So what was in Star Wars that made this change?
It was just for me, you know, the first time I saw a film, you know, which totally directly spoke to me. It looked different, it had incredible visual effects, and had at its heart, you know, a story which really, especially because I was young, spoke to me. And I just got incredibly excited, you know. And I said to myself, Roland, that's what I want, that's what you should do. You should do movies like that. And I was in film school at that time, and in film school everybody wanted to be the next Wim Wenders.
And you didn't?
No, I wanted to be the next Spielberg, Lucas, or Coppola. I was like only interested in American cinema. I had the idea for Stargate at the last year of my studies, because I was doing, you know, I was like kind of doing already preparation for my final student film, which was called The Principle of Noah's Ark, which was also science fiction. And I just had this idea about, you know, making a movie, you know, where you can go through a gate into on another planet. I said it wouldn't a portal. And then I kind of immediately thought, if this is another planet, it should be actually some sort of related to Egypt. Just had this at one point, you know, as an idea, and from that moment on, worked on it.
When you arrived in US, of course, basically I think it was to make a movie called Isobar with Stallone.
I was like on a film 9 months, you know, with Sylvester Stallone, and after 9 months I decided I didn't want to do it anymore, because I was just not happy with the script, and they didn't let me, you know, change the script. So I said, if you don't let me change the script, I'm out. And they never believed me, and then all of a sudden I was gone. And everybody was in an uproar. My agent said, you will never ever make a film in this town again. And I said, well, if I make a movie like that, you know, then my career's finished anyway. So, but surprise, surprise, only 2 weeks later, Mario Casar, who was the financier of also the Stallone film, called me up and said, Roland, I just let Andrew Davis go, and so you probably saw it in Cannes Film Festival, and in the advertisement there's this picture we're doing with Jean-Claude Van Damme and Dolph Lundgren. It's called Universal Soldier. Do you want to do it? And I said, do you have a script? And they gave me the script, and I hated the script. And I told Mario Casar, I can only do it if I can totally rewrite and reconceive the whole script. And he said, okay, you can do that, but you have to keep the 2 actors, and you have to keep the title, And you have to keep the basic concept of genetic engineered soldiers. That's all what you have to do. And you have $18.8 million. And I said, yes, let's do it. And I called up my friend Dean Devlin and said, you have to write a script for me. and that's how it came to be. And I was very proud to did everything really fast. We wrote the script in 3 weeks. We started shooting 3 months later. The movie cost $18.8 million. was great.
You're also the director who reveals Heath Ledger with a patriot, meaning in Hollywood.
Yeah.
What memory do you keep of him, of Heath Ledger? Of this young actor?
Well, at that time he was really young. And there was something about him which I felt was really, really honorable. You know, he was a good guy. When there was something so upright and honorable to him, and that's what I was actually looking in the part. And I had the problem that it ended up in between two actors, and everybody else, besides my sister and Mark Gordon, sided with the other guy, including Mel Gibson. And so I had to call up Mel Gibson and say, sorry, Mel, but I like the other guy better. And he had approval right. And he, at that time, said to me, look, you're the director, so your candidate wins. And after 3 days of shooting, actually, Mel very graciously came to me and said, Roland, you were right. This kid is amazing. Because you could only see it, you know, when you saw more scenes by him, because he had something to him. There was something incredibly mesmerizing about him. We had written the script on spec. We hadn't made an auction, so it was our film. We sold to Fox. And the Fox people just didn't believe, you know, that somebody like Will Smith, also not somebody like Jeff Goldblum, was the right person to act in this movie. But Dean and I, we felt very strongly about it. And so we had to really, really go to battle. And I actually like that, because when you are really so sure about somebody, then you also like kind of know you're sure. Because if you don't go for battles, and that's happened to me many, many times in my career, that you have to put all your bets on one actor, because most of the time the studios are not on board. They always have different ideas. They always have different concepts. But that also like kind of shows you a little bit, you know, that as a director, you have to have guts. You know, I pretty much put pretty much an ultimatum to them. I said, like, if you don't want this, then give us our movie back and we make it with somebody else. Universal is on standby. And they were, you know. I feel like it already, you know, so at the end, they always then side with the director, what else they can do. But the interesting thing was there, like after 3 weeks, you know, they offered like Will a multi-picture deal, which naturally Will didn't do. He was too smart for that. It was actually my idea to do the movie, and I told it to Harold, and he absolutely loved it. And then I said to him immediately, but I cannot do that anyway. That's only like an idea I have. I was just fascinated with Noah's Ark, or a flood story, is in every culture the first story. So I always like kind of wanted to one day do a modern flood story. But how do you do that? And I had an idea. I kind of read in some book called Fingerprints of Gods a theory of the Earth's crust displacement, which is probably never going to happen, but it was just the only reason really to make that happen. And I just told my friend Harold about it, and he got so excited. And then he said, but you have to do that. I said, if I do that, you know, I mean, then I for sure, you know, they will call me Master of Disaster. And they already called me Master of Disaster, and at that moment I can forget it. And I was then pretty much talked by Harold into writing it with him. And first we said, okay, let's write it. Maybe another director can do it. And then naturally when you write something, you start really getting into the story. And I just loved the story so much, you know. And then I kind of also had the feeling it has to be the mother of all disaster movies, because I had done everything. So I said, let's pack everything in this movie, earthquake, flood, and just get it over with. And that's what we did. I got it offered, but a lot of people got this movie offered and turned it down. I'm not the only one. It's actually the first director actually who worked on it was James Cameron. And he wrote an outline for the Spider-Man movie, which I think still is the best movie. That movie should have been done. I'm a great admirer of James Cameron. I always think he's the only, like, you know, like kind of person, whatever he wants to do. If I would be a studio, I would also give him, say, take all our money and spend it.